Hey, welcome to Keep On Pushing TV. I am your host, Devon Harris. And yes, our goal hasn't changed, man. We want to share ideas and insights with you that are going to challenge you and inspire you to keep on pushing and in the process live your absolute best life because we want that of you, from you, and for you. So if that's something that you want of yourself, hey, you are lucky, boy, because you're in the right place. So again, welcome to Keep On Pushing TV. My guest today was born in Ghana, spent his formative years there, and then he moved to the Netherlands, where he spent the next 13 years as an illegal alien. He missed the achieving his Olympic dreams twice, but as I say, the third time is a charm. On the third time, he broke through, representing, yes, his native Ghana at the Olympic Games. His life definitely is one that epitomizes this idea of keep on pushing. And I'm really honored, pleased to welcome my brother, Akwasi Frimpong, to the show. Akwasi, welcome to Keep On Pushing.
Thank you so much for having me on this show, sir. It's an honor.
No, it's such a pleasure, man. So I have to tell you that whenever I meet someone from Ghana, I always feel like I need to talk about the deep connection that exists between Jamaica and Ghana. I know that, back during times of slavery, enslaved people were taken from the Akan region and brought to Jamaica. And so we have all these, Ashanti tribes and the Kurmantine, which is probably my favorite, those fierce set of guys. I was just recently watching a video from the president of Ghana who spoke about another connection between Ghana and Jamaica, where Kwame Nkrumah, the first president, was a Garveyite, a Jamaican national hero, and he went back to Ghana, started the Black Star Line, which was kind of a homage to the shipping company that Garvey started, and the Black Star as part of the Ghanaian flag. So I'm always, pleased to be able to connect with a Ghanaian brother, man.
Thank you. Yeah, we love Jamaica, and it's great to be able to connect with so many people all over the world. We all have that connection of that Africanism, that Afrocentric, and it's very cool every time we get to learn more about each other and get the opportunity to to do things like we're doing today with our African brothers.
Yeah, man, definitely. So tell me, typically, what's the temperature like in Ghana?
Ghana is very humid. So, it's, I would say it's anywhere between, 70 to 90 degrees, ish where the time of the year, anything after July gets pretty hot. I feel like I've been there around April, May. It's still hot, but it's definitely decent. But
Yeah.
you get like 3 baths a day, because it's so humid. You got to change your clothes like 3 times. So it's not dry. It's definitely humid. And
Yeah.
it doesn't rain as much, obviously, but we do get a little bit of rain.
So the reason why I ask you that, Aquas, is because I relish it actually, the chance to turn the tables and ask you, what the hell are you doing at the Winter Olympics, man? You're from Ghana.
Well, the good thing is, like, I'm inspired by people like yourself, so it's a rhetorical question, I assume.
Oh, so it's my fault, huh?
Yes. You and many have inspired us to do it. We thought if you guys can do it and you inspire us, you definitely have pushed us to keep on the tradition of having people from warm countries, and specifically people from Africa and Jamaica and around the world, to be able to be part of a winter sport.
Yeah. So most people probably don't know, because I deliberately didn't mention it in my introduction to you. So yes, you are a Winter Olympian, the first Ghanaian to compete in the Winter Olympics in skeleton.
Yeah, to actually we actually, obviously back then you didn't have much social media and things like that, but I'm the second Winter Olympian ever from Ghana, but the first one in skeleton.
Right. Who was the first? Remind me.
In 2010, there was a guy named Kwame Nkrumah, and he was known as the snow leopard, and he did
Ah, yes.
Ghana. He was
Yes.
the first one, so definitely with the respect to him, he has definitely paved the way for people like myself as well.
Absolutely, yes. I just remember that. My apologies, Kwame. Yeah, you're the first, but yeah, Kwame is the first Winter Olympian, but you're the first skeleton. Hey, tell us about skeleton, man, because you know I jokingly when I talk to people about skeleton, I'm like, it's a really crazy sport, and I think the reason they call it skeleton is that you know by the time you get to the end of the track, that's all that's left, a skeleton.
It sounds like it. I said skeleton. What did I say? The sister sport of a bobsled. We go on the same track, about the same speed. Skeleton bobsled definitely is a little bit faster because of the weight. But we go on like a cookie sheet sled, this thing about 1.5 meters long, and we go head first. We push it first 50 meters long, just like bobsled, and then we hop on it and we navigate it down with our shoulders and knee, or opposite, or using both, whatever. And that's how we navigate it all the way down. We don't have brakes like bobsled, so we have to brake with our foot at the end of the race. And obviously the G forces, just like bobsled, definitely gets us as well to help us to stay on the corners, but definitely crush our face into the ice as well. So skeleton is fun. It's definitely a lot of adrenaline rush. I've done bobsled for the Netherlands team, obviously, as well. So I enjoy both the camaraderie in bobsled. It's awesome. And also skeleton, the individualism whereby you get to decide if you're going left, right, back, or, you know, you get to decide which direction you want to go. That's kind of the nice thing about it.
Yeah, well, you know, I like company, man. Give me a bobsled in a day.
Yes.
I'm not getting on any of those things. So Akwasi, you know, I know you grew up you were born in Ghana and spent your early years here. Tell us, take us back a little bit to those times.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I was born in Ghana in 1986. When I was about 3 years old, my mother left Ghana to the Netherlands to prepare for a better future myself and my brother Kofi. This was around 1989, and again to prepare for a better future for us. And when she left, my grandmother, who I've learned so much from, who has inspired me in so many ways, took care of me, my brother Kofi, and 8 other cousins. And we actually stayed with her in her house, which was about 4 by 5 meter, 1 room space. And we slept on concrete floor, shared blankets with each other while water was dripping from my grandmother's ceiling. And so we grew up pretty poor in Ghana, but you know, the beauty is that we had each other. And I really remember Christmas Day was always very special, not because it was snowing, not because we had a Christmas tree to decorate, but on Christmas Day, we had the luxury and the privilege to consume a full bottle of Coca-Cola or a full egg. That's what we do at Christmas
Yeah.
because we didn't have that luxury. My grandmother told me something very important when I was 8 years old. You know, she sat me in her lap and she told me, you know, Akwasi, what you need for success, that's already in you. It's a matter of believing yourself, having the will to work hard and to never give up. And something that I've always remembered, especially in tough times and in struggle moments. But again, Ghana was fun. It was great to be there with my cousins and all that. And when we went to the Netherlands, that was definitely not easy, for sure. It was another struggle.
It's really interesting, man, because, you know, beyond the historical connection that, you know, our two countries have, and I feel I have with you, I definitely spent my early years with my grandmother as well, and she was very influential. You know, it seems like grandmothers are the sage of our families, and you know, told us some things at those early years that have impacted us and have really helped us along our success journey, as it were. So 8 years old, you moved to the Netherlands, obviously for a better life. Was it better? How did that turn out?
Obviously,
How did it start out, I should say?
yeah, well, obviously, you know, we had the opportunity to eventually go to school, but first we couldn't go to school because we were illegal immigrants, illegal alien, undocumented immigrants, however way you want to put it. And we definitely struggle with the fact that my parents continuously had to have 2, 3 jobs to be able to take care of us, pay for lawyers and all these different things. And for 13 years long, we lived in fear as family. And the fact that every 2, 3 months or so, we get a letter that we have to leave the country for 13 years long. I mean, that was very tough. We had to go back to Ghana to my grandmother who's sick, who was taking care of like 10 kids, and she couldn't do that. So, we wanted to be with my mother, and she lived in the Netherlands. So that wasn't possible for us for a long time. And we had to work hard towards that. Of course, I made great friends. I met so many good people. I love the Netherlands. I love the people there. There's so much culture in Amsterdam where I lived myself. And I felt like I've definitely improved. I was able to discover sports, but also eventually when I get the opportunity to go to school, I could show how smart I was, or at least how good I was with school and how well I did, and to become the student athlete of the Johan Cruyff School, which is the Johan Cruyff is the legendary soccer player who has passed away many years ago.
Mhm.
He built this school, and I became the #1 student worldwide as a student. So definitely when I get the chance and the opportunity, I was definitely able to show what I had. When I discovered sports, I was 15 years old in track and field. My coach, who went to the 1972 and 1976 Olympics, recruited me, and he definitely helped me because sports became my coping mechanism. It's where I learned to deal with winning and losing, where I made friends, and I feel like where I could be myself. Especially being a legal immigrant, I wasn't allowed to do much, but in sports, I could show so much of my attitude, my character, my talent, where you kind of felt like people started like noticing you, respecting you. And I think definitely think that helped me a lot through my tough mental stage as a kid growing up as an illegal immigrant who got bullied a lot and who was being taken away from his mother almost every 2, 3 months, almost. So that's kind of, I think, the paperwork, illegality, and stuff like that was really tough for us as a family, continuously not being able to take on all the opportunities as we really wanted or needed. But every little bit that I did get, I made good use of it.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's really interesting because again, living in an environment where you have all these hopes and dreams, and you see the opportunities there, and you can't really reach out and take full advantage of them. I can imagine it's tough mentally, and then just dealing with, as you say, the bullying, the uncertainty, getting a letter every 3 months or so saying, hey, we're keep an eye on you and you probably need to be leaving now, has to be tough. But sports, man, I also started running track seriously at 15 years old. And you're right. It's one of those things that despite everything that's swirling around, me growing up in poverty and you being in the Netherlands and, and not necessarily want to put words in your mouth, but not being able to participate fully because of your immigration status, it's such a great leveling field, isn't it? You can, irrespective of what's happening off the field, once you step on, you can bring the full force of your character and your desires and your passion to bear on that sports field.
Yeah, I think that obviously what they couldn't take away from me was my hard work. What they couldn't take away from me was my persistency. What they couldn't take away from me was my attitude to keep grinding, to have that grit and that perseverance to keep going. That's something that the Dutch immigration couldn't take away from me. What they could take away from me was the fact that I became Dutch junior champion when I was 17 years old, which is in 2003, and I won the 200 meters in the Netherlands. And I was asked to go to the Caribbean Games, which is the competition between like the Aruba and Curacao islands with the Netherlands. It's
Yeah.
called the Queen's Game, and I wasn't allowed to go and participate. I was definitely devastated, and I wasn't able to go to training camp with my team to get better. Those are the things they took away from me. But you're totally right. When you step on that field, on that tartan, and you get the opportunity to race, you put everything into it because you also want to prove a point, right? So you put everything into it, and you definitely give your all, and you feel like you're yourself a little bit for just that, 10, 11, 12, whatever seconds you run. It just feels
Yeah,
great.
indeed. Yeah, 10, 11 seconds. That's way too quick for me, man. Too much hurrying up going on there. You need time to
Slow
think.
down a little bit.
But so when did you get the Olympic bug? When did you go, hey, you know what? The Olympics are on my radar. I'd like to become an Olympian.
It's a great question. Actually, when I won the Dutch 200-meter championship at the age of 17, my coach Sami Monsels, who is from Suriname, who had been to the 1972-1976 Summer Olympic Games, told me that he believed that one day I could become an Olympic athlete. And because he believed in me, I started believing myself. I started to have that mindset and thinking of hey, maybe that could be something for me. I had to prove it to myself. I had to work for it. Obviously, he He taught me a lot of great things. One of the things he taught me was the rabbit theory. And that's the theory that it's one of the things that I had on my helmet during the Olympic Games. People are like, what is this lion and rabbit on his helmet? It has a story to do with the fact that my coach always told me to become that rabbit. And what that means is that he described me as a rabbit in a cage, ready to escape where there's a lion that's ready to eat me up when the cage opens up. And he told me that with all the dilemma, all the stress, and all the different things that are going on as a kid, that I couldn't become that rabbit to escape away. Well, the lion is described as the Dutch immigration, the haters, the people who don't want you to succeed. Those are the lions.
Mm-hmm.
And so he kind of taught me about that theory that you have to be able to get out of that to be able to become that rabbit to make it to the Olympic Games. And obviously he taught me about self-discipline and things like that. So basically at the age of 17 is when he instilled that belief in me that I could become an Olympic athlete. And once he instilled that in me, I started believing myself.
Yeah.
But I had to go to work for it.
Before we talk a little bit more about the Olympics, one of the things that just struck me is the fact that you have had to be dealing and adjusting to change from a very early age. We've spoken in detail about, moving from Ghana to the Netherlands and dealing with that new environment. What role do you see this idea of change and adjusting and being flexible? How does that play into your ability to succeed?
It's so important because going there, you are not dealing only with all the paperwork, like I said, immigration stuff we talk in detail about, but also the fact you're dealing with culture, you're dealing with the new language, you're dealing with the new environment. And it's so hard that you have to focus on so many things. And remember, I was only 8 years old, right? And I had to and my parents went to work to be able to make the money. But yeah, it is very important to be able to be in an environment where you can succeed. But I also realized that my struggle made me realize that I have to create those opportunities, that I cannot wait around for other people to create it for me. Nobody's going to do it for me at a very young age, even though no matter how painful and struggling it was, at the age that I am right now, 34, I realized that it was really painful for me and other people would have given up a long time ago. And I'm grateful that my grandma instilled that quote in me to continue to believe in myself and make it happen, regardless of the environment that I was around. But it is definitely necessary and important to have an environment where you can grow as a person, as an individual.
Yeah, because as your grandmother says, the success, everything that you need to succeed is inside of you. So here it is, you're the Dutch junior champion, 200 meters. You have the Olympic bug, your coach expressed a belief in you and you start to believe in yourself. And here you're on the cusp, man. The Olympics are around the corner. London 2012.
Yeah.
Tell us about that experience.
A tough one. My love is and has always been track and field. Obviously, you can have a love for something. That doesn't mean that you're going to succeed in it. God has his own plan, right? And that was definitely what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to the Summer Olympic Games as a track and field athlete. And that's also one of the reasons why I moved to the US to go to school here, basically from the Netherlands, then moved to the US, is because I was struggling as an illegal immigrant. I wasn't able to go to training camp. I wasn't able to go to out competition to excel and train to actually become that Olympic athlete. So I actually left almost everything behind, my comfort zone, everything that I knew that I loved so much in the Netherlands, to move to the USA on a student athlete scholarship so that I could have that environment to train and to be able to also mentally get my stuff together, because I was mentally so disturbed with everything that had happened to me as a kid. Imagine, this is just a dilemma that has been on me for years. So basically, yes, coming to the US, I finally, 2011, they recruited me to the pre-Olympic World Championship team. Didn't finally make that when I was injured. And then in 2012, I made on a Dutch pre-Olympic team where they select the first 8 guys who they potentially think will make it in the relay team to the Olympic Games. And I got to train with Sharendi Martina, who won 200 meters in the, I think it's at the 2008 Olympics.
He got
disqualified.
I felt so brokenhearted for him, man. But yeah,
exactly. Me too. And but great athletes that I had the opportunity to work with and train with them in Florida and stuff like that. And but I was already injured. I had a knee injury. I had a tendon behind my knee, which is an athlete, tendons, man.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get enough blood flow. It's really disturbing. And so finally, we went to the Dutch Championship to get the top 6 guys to go to Olympic Games. And I knew I was already injured. I could almost not walk. I still went to race just because I never wanted to say what if.
Right.
Because that year I ran really fast enough to be on the Olympic team, but you still have to qualify to go to Olympic Games. It's just national, you know how that is, national championships. And I didn't make it. I didn't make it the finals. So then I missed the 2012 Olympic Games. And I was definitely devastated. It was definitely tough on me. And I had to move on.
Yeah, I'm curious. So when you talk to us about the scholarship to the U.S., when you pursued that and moved to the U.S., did you already got your Dutch residency?
You're such a smart guy. Not a lot of people ask certain deep questions.
I'm an immigrant like you, man. I know these things.
There you go. There you go. I love people that can relate. It's a great question. To be honest, I received my scholarship already in 2007. Then I was working still my papers. I didn't have my papers. You know, I sent in my paperwork to different schools, NCAA in the United States. I got a scholarship with Michigan Monroe, Arizona Sun Devil, UCLA, and then UVU in Utah. And I already had scholarship offers, but I didn't have my paperwork yet. We were really working hard. Eventually in 2007, in the summer, I got my Dutch permanent residency, which is like a green card-ish, you know, like for you get to stay there for a couple of years, whatever. You don't have a citizenship, you're not Dutch. So I had that in 2007, but I didn't have a Dutch passport, anything like that. And if I had already left in 2007, or basically I was doing this unknowing that I would ever come back, because you're not allowed to come back into the country if you leave while your stuff is still going on with lawyers and everything. So I was boldly like, okay, I'm done. I want to go and pursue my dream. So in the midst of all of this, I got a scholarship. I was waiting. I didn't go right away. The school was going to start the year after in the summer. And that's when I received my permanent residency. And then later on, when I came to the US in 2008, afterwards is when I received my Dutch passport, which made me the chance to be part of the Dutch.
Right.
Yep. So everything's still going on.
Worked out. Okay, great. So London fell through, man. What next?
Right after the finish, you know her, Nicola Minicello was the former world champion.
Jamaican, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, yes.
And so, sorry, for our guest, Nicola is a British woman bobsled champion who has Jamaican parentage.
There you go. There you go. Set the record straight. She was actually the head coach of the Dutch bobsled team, and she basically at the finish, Ivo was already looking for a team. Ivo de Bruin was the Dutch pilot, bobsled pilot. He was already looking for a team. He was already looking at me before, and right after the finish, when I didn't make it, they took me right away into a room and, hey, we have a second chance for you to train for the Olympic Games as a brakeman for the Dutch team, training for the 2014 Sochi, Russia Olympic Games. And I was recruited then. I didn't go right away into it because, again, track and field was all in my mind. That's all I wanted to do. I was devastated. I needed to think about it. And a few months later, I thought about it and I was like, well, this is a second opportunity. I can still use my track and field talent and skills as an athlete. And that's when I started to go to some of their trainings and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Akwasi, I have a bone to pick with you, man, because in other interviews, I hear you refer to bobsled as a thing called bobsled. Are you talking about a luxury, Chrysler Cadillac that we ride? Is that what you're referring to, man?
No, I'm referring to that awesome bathtub, that bullet that takes you down the hill. If you navigate it correctly and if you stay in the right way. So,
all right, okay, fine. Now that you set the record straight, we can move on.
Yeah, definitely don't be talking to Devon about bobsled like that.
Exactly.
So basically I got a chance to be part of it. And I love the camaraderie. I love the fact that I could use my track and field skills. I love that whole team bonding, stuff like that. And it was new to me. But I definitely picked it up pretty quickly because I wasn't a pilot. I was just pushing, pick up a little bit quicker. And so I started training with the Dutch team. I went on my first was a Walk Cup here in Park City. I did one World Cup here. It was my first race ever going downhill in the bobsled, basically, as far as competition. We hadn't even taken the 4-man down in practice because we'd been practicing the 2-man. And then on the race day, we just had to do it. So I raced in the World Cup in bobsled. And from there on, I started to train with the Dutch team towards the Olympic Games. And then finally what happened is that we had 2 pilots and 2 bobsled for the Netherlands team. The Netherlands has a really high standard when it comes to qualifying for the Olympic Games. You got to be like back then top 8, now it's top 12 world ranking, World Cup ranking to be able to go to Olympic Games.
Mm-hmm.
So we had Ivo de Bruin and we had Edwin van Kalker, and only the team of Edwin made it to the Olympic Games for 2014. I was part of the B team. So Ivo's team did not make it, so which made me become an alternate for Edwin's.
I'm curious. The top, those standards were set by the Dutch Olympic team. Those weren't standards by the IBSF, correct?
Those are not IBSF. Those are not IOC. Those are strictly
right.
the
So
Dutch Olympic team. Yeah.
Did your team make the IBSF standard?
Yes, but you can only have one. You know, a
Yes.
quota. It is quota.
Right, that's true too. Yeah. Okay, so.
But he has made it a few times basically since then. But yeah, it's definitely tough. The Netherlands wants you to make to the finals or something like that before you can even, you know, in track and field is the same.
Yeah, that's another conversation because I don't agree with that philosophy.
I don't.
But yeah, so you're home watching Sochi on TV, huh?
Yes. I became a second alternate. Basically, we have to wait home because only the first alternate is allowed to go to the village or at least to the Olympic Games. And, you know, nobody got injured, luckily, which is a good thing. And yeah, I have to say that at that moment, I became what they call Quasimodo, right? I was hinged back, you know. I was again devastated for the second time not making it to the Olympic Games, where I put so much money and sources and everything into it to make it happen, and it didn't happen. It was definitely a bummer. So yeah.
Can imagine. But then skeleton kind of turned up on the radar. How did that happen?
Yes, actually after the 2013 in the World Cup team, and then after 2013 I kind of stopped because I didn't make it to the Olympic team, basically, close to January. So then I came back to the U.S. I was competing in Europe. I came back to the U.S. I wanted to get married to my best friend from college. I needed to make money to pay for my cell phone bill, for the place that I lived. You know all that. I don't have to explain that to you. When you're traveling and competing a lot of people think we make money. It's only maybe the top in the world that makes money. We are all just doing it for passion. So I was basically broke. So I came back to the U.S. to look for a job after I graduated in 2013 as well from school. And I couldn't find a job right away. So I ended up becoming a vacuum salesman. So I started to sell vacuums door to door. And from there on, about 2-3 years, I kind of, Nicola Minicello reached out to me again. Now she was working for the International Bobsled Skeleton Federation. And she told me about skeleton. She said, hey, you could definitely try it out. I think that could be something for us. And I was like, no, not a third sport, not skeleton. I see those people out there. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. You know, it's not manly enough. You know, it's like what I kind of said. And then I talked to my wife about it, and she said, hey, I don't want you to be 99 years old and still be whining about your Olympic dream. So give it a chance. So we left our $1 million business. You know, after selling vacuums, I also became a distributor. We owned almost $1 million in our business as far as gross sales in 2015 for our business. We left all that behind, everything that we had worked so hard for as entrepreneurs, and went after, drove 13 hours from Arizona, where we lived, to Park City and started training skeleton and started to pick that up.
Yeah, so I'm going to touch on that in a minute, but let's go back to the vacuum business, man, because, well, first of all, I wish I'd known about that. I was in Evanston selling pizza, delivering pizzas. You're selling vacuum and making a lot of money. I'm delivering pizzas, making tips. But yeah, you just said that you gave up, basically packed up your $1 million business to go pursue this crazy dream, and it just reminds me of the fact that there's never a perfect time to go after your dreams, man. And when the opportunity kind of appears, even in the most remote of way, you have to drop everything. And I remember doing that as well. You have to drop everything, whether it is, you're just kind of crawling out to make ends meet, and you know that, stepping out to go after this dream is going to push you back, or you have a really successful business. So that's a really important lesson there that you're teaching all of us. So thank you for that. But you also are saying that you had a really good teammate in your corner, your wife was supporting you all the way.
Yeah, and I definitely think that I would have not even made it even to the Olympics, which we will talk about later on. But without her support, she was helping me a lot with my business. She did all the, I would say, the dirty work. As I was selling, people calling in and cussing and everything like that. She was,
Right.
doing all that. She has been very supportive to the day of today, and definitely not tough for her as well, because she likes to have her man home who's traveling all the time and spending money we don't have, rent money and all that kind of stuff. There's moments when I started the Ghana Bobsled Scout Federation again, which we talk about. I was in Ghana and I had to call her because I needed money for my rent. People don't know all these stories, but we had a debate about that, and she definitely supported me with that. But we didn't have much money. After we got married, we only had $700 in our name, and we pursued the dream of going after the business things and stuff like that. And again, without her support, she's the real MVP. I think she's the strongest one of all of us.
When you were you started out this selling vacuums to make $900 every 2 weeks, and it obviously grew way beyond that. What was going through your mind? What was the thing that was driving you to achieve that kind of success?
A lot of people don't know that in the back of my head, I still had the Olympic Games in my head. And I knew that it's hard to find sponsors. And I knew that if I wanted to do a third thing or anything like that, that people would be like, well, there you go again with his Olympic dream again. You've missed it. Just stay home. I have so many family and friends and family telling me, just keep going to school. Just find a real job. Like, just leave that Olympic thing alone. It's okay. It's fine. And they say that because they love you.
Yeah.
They say that because they don't like you. They say that because they're worried they love you. And I realized that if I wanted to go again, I had to kind of sponsor myself, right? Or at least prove myself. So in the back of my head, I had that, obviously the entrepreneur mindset, but also the competitive mindset as well, because selling vacuums in around 2000, around 2014, is different than back in the day when they sold in the 20s and the 40s, right? Who buys vacuums door to door from a stranger, right? And I live in Utah, 99.9% all white people, right? So, but in the back of my head, I wanted my family to be successful. I wanted to take care of myself, and I wanted to find a way to go back to the Olympic Games as well, at least train again. And I know that was going to cost me a lot of money. But the drive in me of you can be successful in anything you want if you put your mind to it is another thing as well, that I want to be successful with everything that I touch and do. I want to do well, and I want to put all my effort into it as well. And that's what I did.
And it's a sad state of affairs to be 99 years old and looking back on your life and wishing you should have, could have. It's really important not to live life with regrets, right?
Yes, and I also believe that it wasn't, if I didn't make it, also fine, but at least I gave it a shot, and that's important to me.
And that's the thing, you can't regret the failure. You can regret not trying. So you decide to take up this crazy sport called skeleton, which it's our, I wouldn't call it our bobsled brother. It's more like bobsled step brother, man. I did not know I was speaking, oh my God, he's gonna kill me now. The Olympic champion from Vancouver, the Canadian guy.
Yeah. I'll come up to it in a second.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, I interviewed him too. But I did not know that skeleton guys called us bobsledders backseat buffaloes. I mean, how disrespectful, man. But
I didn't even know that. I don't know that struggle in the competition you guys have, at least that thing that's going on there. I just thought bobsled was definitely different, but then holy cow, skeleton is definitely, I don't know. Did I say harder? I don't know. It's definitely different.
Yeah,
When it comes to bobsled, for sure. When you're so close to the ice, and when you're just alone on it, and the speed and how fast everything comes to you, and the fact that you can't see much. Obviously as a pilot in the bobsled, they see a little bit more because I've sat there a little bit and
Right.
you know better than me. But
Hmm.
in skeleton, you only see maybe like what, I don't know, 8 meters, 10 meters ahead of
That's
you.
true because you're so close to the ice.
Yep. And so that makes it extra, even though bobsled is more dangerous when you crash because you're in the bobsled, but
Hmm.
skeleton, the fear is a little bit more when you're so close to the eyes and you can't see much.
Yeah.
Um, that gets a little bit scary.
That's true. That is very true. So I'm kind of chuckling to myself because here it is now that you have decided that you're going to do skeleton, but not for the Netherlands, who already have a federation. You're going to go compete for Ghana, who they don't know anything about the sport of skeleton. They know of skeletons, but not the sport of skeleton. So how did they receive this idea, the news that you wanted to form the Ghanaian Bobsled and Skeleton Federation?
I have always wanting to tell you this story so badly. And no, seriously, I mean that. I'll tell my wife. I mean, that's maybe if that's one of the most exciting things, or one of the things that I want to just tell Devon about when I get the opportunity to talk to him in an interview.
Yeah,
It's because you're totally right. They kind of, everybody knows Jamaican bobsled team, so that has made bobsled so famous that most people know bobsled because of that.
yeah,
Skeleton, nobody knows. Even up to the day of today, I feel like people still don't even know what that is, right? They know luge and stuff like that, but not so much skeleton. It's getting popular, but still not there yet.
yeah.
So when I went to Ghana, it was very tough because now I had to convince the Ghana Sport Association. Now I had to convince the Ghana Olympic Committee and and some other teams. Like there was three different sports organizations that I had to convince. All if you don't have all three, you can't form the federation. And
Right.
it was very tough to go there to meet the Minister of Sports and the Olympic Committee people and all that kind of stuff. It was very tough because now you come up there and literally just like in Cool Runs in the movie, no kidding, they just stood out there like, what are you going to do? Exactly. Seriously? Like, where are you going to practice? Like the exact
Right.
same thing as portrayed in the movie. Yours is probably worse than in the movie, maybe. But exactly that. They didn't know what it was. They thought I was crazy. Like, man, have you hit your head? Like, I'm like, yeah, I know that I've been living in Europe and the US. Like, he's like, we do boxing here and we do soccer. That's about it.
Right.
Everything else, we try to do other stuff, but you coming here with skeleton, like bobsled, no, no, no. We have no place for this. It's not going to happen. And I said, I'm not here for your money. Basically what I need you to do is just sign the papers, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
That help me get going. But it was definitely hard. I had to definitely convince them. But I was grateful that I was led by God and I was led by my passion, my spirit to be able to tell them like, hey guys, I think we can really do this. I'm up for it. I'm passionate about it. I've at least done bobsled, so I kind of know a little bit of the ice sport, and I've been a little bit around these people, and we can get this done. And it was definitely devastating and definitely hard and tough for me, and I struggled quite a little bit. But I'm the kind of guy I don't give up easily. I
Hmm.
don't give up easily. When I believe in something, I would definitely go all the way for it. And I did, and I was able to get the federation going. I was the president, the athlete, the secretary, the guy who does all the sponsorship. All that.
Yeah,
So
exactly. The head cook, years ago, somebody, I was talking to them and they go, so Jamaica Bob said, so you're the guy who creates strategy and buys bread. I'm like, yeah. And so that was you. It's kind of, see, people see at the Olympic Games and I think they have a sense of how hard you have to train, right, physically for your sport. But they don't have a clue about all the other things that go on behind the scene that really impacts the sport, but has nothing to do with how well you're going to perform on, on the ice in this case or on the field. Um, so yeah, so kudos for you for getting that persevering to get it started, and obviously having to run an entire federation and be an athlete all by yourself. Um, so you get to the Olympic Games. I know you had to go through the qualifications and all of that. Well, let me ask you about that. What was it like? Because I know the process of you have to rank top 60 in the world, right?
yeah, so the way it was in this Olympics, they had a
Mm-hmm.
new rule, and that rule definitely helped and benefited me as well as an athlete from Africa. is that you have to be in the top 60, and this time it was what you call the top 60 clean list. So even though that eventually I was ranked in the 90 or something like that out of like 200 skeleton athletes, after the quotas are given to each country, like, 2 to the US, 3 to whatever, all the quotas done, then you get to move up in the ranking. So as long as you were in the top 60, I was in the top 55 of the clean list, for example. So then they had a spot for Africa. So if I was the best from Africa, which at that moment there was me, there's 2 other people that didn't end up finishing and competing and doing all that in the beginning of the season they were part of it, but I end up qualifying as the first Black male skeleton athlete ever in history for the continent of Africa to be able to go to the Olympic Games.
Yeah, and just so we clarify, Akwasi, the clean list, because when people hear of the Olympics and clean, they think in terms of drugs. No, the clean list has everything to do. You said you were ranked. What were you ranked without?
I think somewhere in 90 or something. I can't remember. In the
Right.
80s.
So you're ranked, let's say 90, but then above you are athletes from other countries, the US, Canada, all the bigger name countries where they may have 3 or 4 athletes that are ranked ahead of you. But those countries can only send 2 or maybe 1 athlete. So when they take out the extra ones, they clean out all the extras, you move up in ranking.
Yes, exactly. And then I was able to represent Africa at the 2018 Pyeongchang Olympic Games for the first time for Ghana. And for the first time, obviously in 2006, there was a South African who competed in skeleton for South Africa. Yeah. So it became the first one from the first Black male scout athlete from Africa to actually go to the Olympic Games in the sport of skeleton.
So talk to me, dude. It's the opening ceremony is Greece goes in first, and then it's Ghana, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
Like it's this huge contingent from Ghana marching into the stadium. I've been there a couple of times, a few times, 50, 60,000 people screaming, more cameras than you can count. And in this moment, your image is being flashed across the globe. What's that moment like for you?
Well, just when you said it, I just got like a goosebumps, and I could feel everything all over again. First, I didn't know that the alphabet, later I realized that the alphabet of Korea, it was obvious Greece always goes first, but Ghana was the first one in the alphabet of the G, I think is the first of the alphabet in Korea. Mm-hmm. So when I knew that we were going to go second after Greece, it was, I almost had to pee my pants. Before that, I didn't have to. But I was, at that moment, I definitely was in that space of like, holy cow, like missing the Olympic Games in 2012, in 2014, selling vacuum door to door, going through all these struggles, and then being able to go to Ghana Start this federation. Holy cow, we have done it, and we have done it for my country. I was able to hold the flag as high as possible for a country that shed blood for it. I was able to make my country so proud. And that was very special to me, because if you stand there and you holding the flag of your country, and you were able to hold on that image of your country, and you were able to make all these 30 million people so proud, that's what I wanted. I wanted to inspire the youth out there that everything is possible, even though we don't have snow, that you can become whatever you want to become. Right. And that's the thing that we maybe talk about later, what called the hope of a billion. If you want to become a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse, an Olympian, anything is possible so long as you're willing to work for it. So standing there holding the flag of my country was very special. And it's a moment that I will never, ever, ever forget.
Yeah. So, there's a term that, I've heard for as long as I can remember, you're 1 in a million. You're a 1 in 30 million, man. I was on one of four out of not even 2 million. So look at that. You're like kicking my butt there. But you're also the hope of a billion, dude. Talk to us about that philosophy.
That's something that I've actually, after the 2018 Olympics, that my dream was to go back to the Olympic Games, because when I started in 2016, or the summer 2016, September 2016 is when we had our federation. I started competing in November 2016. My goal was always to go after Africa's first ever Winter Olympic Games medal. My goal was never to go to the 2018 Olympics. I didn't even know about the 2018 Olympics exactly till July 2017. When I came here, there was a Congress in Park City, and IBSF, one of the IBSF lawyers told me, Akwasi, I keep hearing you talking about the 2022 Olympics, because I had t-shirt made Beijing, Ghana in 60 seconds, Beijing 2022, because I wanted to win a medal, at least perform a certain way for Ghana. I didn't want to just go just to go.
Yeah.
So that was my mindset. And then I realized, a couple months, 6 months before the Olympics, that I had a chance because of the clean list and all that other stuff. So my dream was always still, after the 2018 Olympics, I still want to go after what has never been done before for the continent of Africa, which is an African person in any sport to win a Winter Olympic Games medal. And that's what I call the hope of a billion. For me, the hope of a billion is, that's my dream, but also the hope of a billion is for anyone out there, to teach them to never give up, to help them to come out of their comfort zone, to become whatever they want to become. And again, if that's to become a lawyer, a doctor, a professor, and the CEO of a big company, whatever it is, you can do it. And it's also to unite people from all parts of the world through hope. And that's what the hope of a billion is all about.
Yeah. So you're at the Olympic Games, and you're standing at the start, man. And I know what it feels like to have the hope and aspirations of an entire nation on your shoulder. You have that and more. You have the hope of an entire continent on your shoulder. And you're there obviously to compete. I mean, when I hear you talking, I see myself. Describe that moment, the feeling in that moment.
First of all, Devon, when I went to the Olympic Games and when I went to compete, when I qualified, I had 3 goals. One was basically to show that, people from one country can do this. Second was to inspire the people in my country, the kids, to come out of their comfort zone and to break barriers, And 13 is to gain the experience for the next Olympics 2022. That was what I went into the Olympic Games from. I was only doing the sport for about a year and a half. I knew the competitive level. I wasn't there yet with the other guys because I didn't have that many runs, that many experience. But I was there to represent a continent and to be able to gain that experience. As I was there, all I could think about is like, get down safe, first of all, and show that you can do the sport and learn from it, but enjoy the moment and continue to promote Ghana, continue to promote the story of never giving up, continue to promote the perseverance, and continue to promote that, we can unite people from all parts of the world through sports, and we can all be one as well. But having that continent behind me definitely was a big boost, and definitely made it extra special for me.
Yeah, of course, talk to me about fear, because as you talk about, getting down safely, people don't realize in our sport that when you push off the top, there's no guarantee that 60 seconds later you'll be alive. So you were dealing with, moving to the Netherlands and dealing with the fear of getting deported, right? Transitioning to bobsledding and dealing with the fear of going down the track, and even greater fear of going down a skeleton run, and dealing with the fear of even disappointing a continent as you stand at the start of the track. How do you work yourself through the fears that you face?
It makes me think about personal development. And, when you work on personal development, there's different things you can work on, because that's one of the things that helps us grow, become better people, and it makes us become greater and better and stuff like that. So I feel like I had worked on my personal development. One of the things is believing myself, that was instilled in me through my grandmother, through my coach, which definitely helped me, because it helps you to overcome self-doubt when you start to believe in yourself. And it also makes you realize that there's things that you can do that you never thought you could do. Let's go back to training, right? In training the Olympic Games, when I was training to enter the competition, you have like 3 or 4 days to get some training runs. And it was the first time ever. People don't understand that. I was the only athlete, Jamaica Watson, and myself, Anthony Watson, a great friend of mine, and myself, were, I think, the only athlete that had never been on the bobsled track in Korea, because everybody else had done a World Cup or an international practice week for about 2 weeks long. So they kind of already knew a little bit of the track. So then the fear will always be there, but it's less. Both of us had never been on that track before. So we had 10 runs, which is 10 minutes training an Olympic track to go down head first, right? So there's definitely that anxiety, that fear, definitely there. But again, I remember that in training, somehow I did really well. I was beating people in training that I'd never even been close to before in my life. And so I was excelling really well in training. But then something happened the day before the race. In training, I crashed in curve 8. And because I crashed in curve 8, now the self-doubt kind of came back, like, oh my gosh, I don't want this to happen on TV, for the nation, for the country. All these things come through your head. And I was like, I just want to bring my runners, which is the bow in our sled, which is the runners that we put in. You can put a big bow, small bow. The bigger bow makes you go more faster, but it's also more, you kind of move around more. And so I had to reduce the setup of my sled to be able to have an okay run down the track, because I didn't want to get embarrassed. I didn't want to disappoint a whole continent, a whole nation. But then as I got to the start that day, I was like, there's no way back. I'm here. It's time to just do it. I have practiced this. I know how to get down. I can do this focus. And I have all the mother nature. I have everything behind me. Just go. And I just took my first couple of steps and lied on that sled. And all I could think about is hear the people of my country so proud and crying and yelling and just so excited to see that somebody out there is representing them, and they could feel they could feel that representation. That's all I could think about as I was going downhill, to make my country proud and to make my continent proud.
Yeah, I know the feeling, man, because when I competed in my third Olympics in Nagano, I hadn't seen that track until I got to the Olympics either, and it's, again, people watch and they don't realize that, yeah, competing in the Olympics is pressure packed, but there's so much work that is going on, especially when you have never been on the track before. And at the end of the week, it's the Olympic race. It's the most important race in 4 weeks, and you're trying to, for me, learn a brand new track and learn a brand new sled, because the sled I used was one I rented when I got to Nagano. But you're right, once you step on the start line, none of that matters, man. It's work time, and you just go. So, dude, you finally achieved the dream. You're an Olympian. So congratulations on that. And 2022 is coming up. Talk to us about that. I know you've also gone to Ghana to do some work, so fill us in.
Yeah, we have definitely gone to Ghana to do more work. Every 3-4 months we use wooden sleds, bobsled, and skeleton to teach the sport in Ghana as well, to continue to teach people about it. We hope to eventually have a team. I'm not sure if that's going to happen for 2022, because like you said, there's a lot of work that goes around it, and you don't want to have false promises and stuff like that. We have recruited 2 people that actually, one girl that actually in 2019 did some training in Calgary with Mono Bob, and it's not that easy. You recruit people. It's cold. Not everybody can do it, right? It's not that easy. So I hope to continue to do more with that. But for me personally, I have continuously to work hard to tell the story, to continue to get more people involved. I want to inspire as many people as possible moving to the next Olympic Games. But I want to perform. I've been performing more and more. So every year I get better with more time in the sport, whereby in February 2022, I won my first race during the USA Western Regionals, and I became the first African ever in history to win a sliding event. And that came from the guy who came last at the Olympic Games, or at least, came 30th or whatever, where you want to put it, that continues. I keep working hard. I'm a student of the sport, and I hope to break another barrier at 2022, and that is to win Africa's first ever Winter Olympic Games medal. But there's a lot of work that has to go into it. With COVID, it hasn't been easy with COVID-19. But again, we gotta look for solutions, and we can't stop. We gotta keep finding ways to make it happen, and be patient as well at the same time, because that's the hardest part, is to be patient.
Yeah. I was about to ask you about how are you adapting? How is your training going? How have you adapted your training during COVID-19?
In the beginning stage, in February, March, and so on, mostly March, April, May, and even in June, we were continuously just training home, just either at my house, at the park by my house, do some running and train with my family. I try to keep it fun with my family, with my wife and daughter, and inside the home. And since July, I was able to do a little bit more on the track and meet my coach a little bit here and there with social distancing in mind. We haven't been able to go into my private gym with the coach as we normally go into to be able to get our folks in preparation. Um, but we all have to adapt. I'm not the only one dealing with it. Everybody's dealing with it.
Mhm.
You just have to work with what you got and put your best into. I believe that at the end of the day, it's all about heart. I mean, you train hard and everything like that, but it's a mindset game. It's all about the heart. And I think if that's right, if you're happy, if your heart is in the right place, and if you can work on your mental part, a mental stage, that you can actually accomplish a lot on the ice.
Cool. Tell us about Frimpong store, Akwasi.
Thanks so much for mentioning that. After the 2018 Olympic Games, I was wearing a jacket that had the Ghana colors on them, and a lot of people from Ghana were like, or from people from even Jamaica, like all people with just a culture were like, "Hey, I like this jacket. Do you guys have it?" And I was like, "No, we don't have it. We never knew that it
We
was
don't
going
have
to."
it yet.
Yes. Well, we didn't even have close a week before the Olympic Games. Like
Oh,
that's
wow.
another story.
Welcome to my world, brother.
I had to arrange that too. I got to the Olympic Games without a national clothes. I had to get that, whatever. It's all good. We made it happen. So people love the jacket that we were wearing, but we didn't have any. We didn't know that it was going to be such a big deal, all over. I mean, obviously you have experienced it your whole life, but it just took off, right? And so then people started in Korea. A lot of people, every time they see me after the Olympic Games, I did a dance, they call the Frimpong dance. And I did a salute at the end to thank the audience and all the people that believed in me. So when I was walking in Korea, all the Koreans would be like, Frimpong, 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 Frimpong. And they'll be doing that the whole time. So after we came back from the Olympic Games, my team and I talked, and they said, "Hey, a lot of people want the jacket that you have, but you don't have any in stock." I was like, "Well, I'm not even into selling clothes or anything like that. I don't want to really get too busy with that." Then we finally found a way to make it happen, and we have some sportswear in Europe, and then in the US we have more of the casual accessories, and some African roots type of clothing stuff, and everything to promote, hope and never giving up attitude. And so when you go to frimpongstore.com, you can get a Hope of a Billion t-shirt. You can get some sweaters with some Afrocentric prints on them. And it's to continue to tell the story. My clothing line is not really about being per se the Gucci guy that, fancy and all that kind of stuff. It's to continue to tell the story. And I'm trying to find different ways to tell the story through my sports, through my speaking engagements, and through my clothing line. Anytime somebody wears something that says Hope of a Billion or Frimpong on it, I want them to remember the story of the guy who didn't have much but never gave up. I want them to remember the story of hope and the attitude of perseverance. And that's really what I want. So we have a store now online that people can order. And it's been fun to be able to see people out there wearing things with Frimpong, at least talking about it, and to continue to share the story.
Awesome, man. And so, how does one find you? So we can go to frimpongstore.com to get the clothing. But if someone is interested in, hey, having a sponsorship relationship with you, or have you come share the lion and the rabbit story at an event, how do they find you?
Frimpong.com. Frimpong.com. There you can find everything about me, my contacts, even the stores. You can find stuff there. Everything is out there. My social media channels. My Instagram is Akwasi Frimpong 86, and on Twitter I'm Frimpong Akwasi.
Awesome. So frimpong.com, folks. Make sure you go check out my brother, man, my Ghanaian brother, Frimpong, the dude who has so far and will forever escape the lion, evade the lion. Hey, Akwasi, it's been awesome. You definitely epitomize the keep on pushing story. We could, really chat forever, but we don't want to bore people to death. So thank you so much for joining us here on Keep On Pushing.
Thanks so much for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah, man, great. And hey, guys, if you enjoyed this, if you found benefit in it, make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And also share this, man. Don't keep it. Share it with your friends. They want to be inspired. They want to be motivated. They want some of that Frimpong power as well. So make sure you share it. Until we connect next time, yeah, man, keep on pushing. Thanks for watching. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you click on that subscribe button and hit that bell. You'll get a notification every time we post a new video. And don't forget, share it with your friends, man. They want to be inspired as well, right? So share it. Don't keep it. And before you go on to the next video, visit my website, www.devonharris.com. Keep on pushing.